electric. Can you feel the frequency flowing through your body? Do you get the vibration? That's what life is. We're electric. We're batteries, human batteries, designed to run on minerals, on salt. I'm drinking salt water, put salt in my kombucha, yummy salt. Sea salt, mountain salt. I love salt and magnesium. It tastes funky, but it makes me feel great. Magnesium, potassium. How are your minerals? Hey everybody, it is I, Hannah Ruhama, the Kombucha Mama. Welcome to Mama Mondays. I am so excited. That song is in honor of my guest today. I'm going to bring her on right now, Lydia Joy. She helps people dial in their mineral content through a variety of modalities. And I have been really fortunate to be working with her, and I'm dialing in my own modalities. I've got my salt water right here. Yummy, yummy. So let's first chat about how we know each other. I think we know each other through the sort of real food world from many moons ago. We met in person for the first time, even though we were friends online for a while, at the NTA conference. Was that 2016, 2017? I feel like it was when my book came out.
16 maybe, I think. I feel like. Yeah.
Yep. And then during the pandemic, we were blessed to become friends and have been trading voicemails on Telegram for quite a while, which has just been such a fun way to connect with people. But why don't you just let people know, what is hair tissue mineral analysis? Why do you do this funky thing? Talk to us about what you do.
This funky thing. Well, it's only funky because we don't know about it, but yeah. So hair tissue mineral analysis is basically you're taking a piece of tissue instead of, from your body, which is more invasive. It's just the hair, and it's reflective of like a 3-month window of your mineral pattern in your body, because the hair is a tissue where we deposit minerals and heavy metals as well. So what's really cool about it is you get this information, and instead of, the allopathic model of like, I have a symptom, give me a Band-Aid, we're really digging into the body's biochemistry, and we're looking at the systems and the organs and the tissues and the glands and how they're operating as a whole versus like picking one thing and stabbing at all these parts of our body. Oh, I have thyroid issues. Oh, my hair's falling out. Oh, this or that. And we're like segregating ourselves into parts. And then before we know it, we're all in burnout trying to figure out what's wrong with us, and taking this haphazard approach, right? So what the hair test really does for me personally to help someone is see this bigger picture of like, okay, where do you have energy leaks in your systems? And what's like the priority of balancing, or how can we create like a balancing act to bring everything back versus picking off symptoms? Because if you get into the roots of things and shore the body back up, many of these things will just start to disappear. So it's really cool to me to look at it that way, and it's very eye-opening to most people, because it's kind of like you've done an astrology reading and you're like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. I know this about myself, but I wasn't sure about this and that and how I interact with people and blah, blah, blah. If you've done an astrology reading, you're like, wow, that was so revealing and helpful. And so this can be similar in that it's very revealing, clarifying, validating to people to see it all in one place, to know how to move forward.
So it's like hair astrology. Just kidding.
Sure.
It is really revealing, and I'm all about the root cause, because for me, part of why I love kombucha and why I think of it as a gateway to holistic healing is that it directly connects you with your gut, which is the root of everything in your body, right? Yes. I know people like to think this brain's in charge, but the reality is it's this one here in our gut that's really performing all of the activities. It's creating the serotonin, it's creating the dopamine. I always thought there was like a little pharmacy in my brain dispensing these great, little happy chemicals. Come to find out, it's all coming from my gut. So it makes sense that what we're putting into our bodies is directly impacting our health. And just to talk about minerals for a minute, the day that I met kombucha way back in 2003 in San Francisco was also the day that I met Soleil, which is a pink Himalayan salt crystal soaked in water. And I was like, why are they drinking salt water? Salt is so bad for you, right? I was still sad at the time, standard American diet. And, I had I'm from Chicago, and they had a Morton's salt factory, and it was next to the highway. And you would see these piles and piles, these mountains of salt outside exposed to whatever pollution was coming by. And it was just like, is this right? Is this good? This seems really weird. But just turning around that thought process around salt. So to give us a little insight, what is salt? Why is it so important for us? And what kinds of salt are better for us to be consuming?
Yeah, well, I guess if you think about the human body fluids, like if you've ever shed a tear, I mean, we all have, right? And it's salty if you taste it, right? And any body fluids have that saltiness to it. We really are
boogers.
Did you say boogers?
I did. Ew, they're salty.
Taking me back to being a kid. Gross. So we basically ourselves are sitting in an ocean inside of us, right? And that's got a lot of minerals, salt included, and potassium. And so it's literally vital and essential for our function, our physical function. Like we literally cannot live without it. We need it for many processes in the body. We need it to help us make our digestive juices. We need it for the water to even be carried inside the cell so we're properly hydrated. So many things. Like we could spend days talking about this. It's so important. And if you know anything about ancient civilizations and cultures, is like they treated and prized salt more than they did money and gold because they couldn't live without it. And it was used
salary. The word salary is from the word salt because people were paid in salt. That's how incredibly important and valuable it is. We still use that word today,
but we don't.
Although we're getting
we lost the meaning. We don't understand it because we've been taught salt's bad for you. Don't eat salt, and we've been reconditioned over time since we've been alive, right?
Right.
Salt's bad. It'll give you a heart attack. Salt, blah blah blah. All the things. But there's a backstory to that, is that sodium in processed food is the problem, not the actual real salt from nature, from the ocean, from salt mines, from even you can there's certain plants that break down more into salt if you dry them and toast them and crumble them and things like that. And so the ancients knew all this, and they knew ways to access salt wherever they were on the planet. But since industry and processing and all of that, we've lost sight of all of this stuff, right?
Then I was saying magnesium. So magnesium is one that I really love the supplement you recommend. However, it does have an interesting flavor profile.
Right.
And so I know you've also talked about topical applications, but just tell us a little bit about magnesium and what it's good for and why it's something I know you could spend all day talking about magnesium, but what's the quick?
The quick. Oof, yeah. So I think the big thing about magnesium is if you understand where we're at collectively in the mineral realm in terms of like we've lost them in our water, in our soil. We have all these toxins making it harder and harder for us. And magnesium's role is very stabilizing and balancing. We also need it for a lot of our energy production. And it really helps regulate our other core macro minerals as well. So to me, it's like it gives you energy, but it also chills you out. It's like the perfect way we're actually supposed to feel. We can regulate between energy and chill, right? Nobody knows what that feels like in this culture. So magnesium is really imperative because we can burn it up very quickly where we're at currently. Does this make sense? So like because we've had so much calcium fortification, which those two minerals need a delicate dance and balance, which we were basically lied to about. We all are kind of in a discrepancy at this point with magnesium in mind. So it's not repleted in our soil. Most people don't eat enough vegetables. We all have too much stress. I could go on and on. So, and we don't absorb well. We don't like digest and assimilate our nutrition well. So magnesium is kind of like the master mineral in a way. It's like the orchestra conductor of your other core minerals. So I always start there because usually people can benefit from it quickly. Now I won't encourage anyone to stop there, but pretty much everyone can start there and receive some benefit from it. And so, yeah, there's many ways we could take it, consume it. Obviously, food first would be amazing if we could do it. Most of us can't do food only to get enough. So we have to add it either topically or orally in a supplemental form. I like topically a lot because many people have impaired digestion, and magnesium is absorbed best in our small intestine. So it's nice to do it topically because we bypass the digestive process and we get it right in there. And my goal is always to get people to feel it as quickly as possible with as little as possible taken, you see? So, but yeah, Hannah and I, we kind of messed around with like trying to add it to kombucha, and it's definitely a good medium for like the liquid ionic magnesium. But you have to be, it's only a little is tolerable.
So we talked about, and then you talked about the balance between magnesium and calcium. And what I noticed is my body was craving more calcium through high quality milk. So either raw milk for me, or it's legal here in California, or like A1, A2 milk, which is just easier to digest. I've had to go away from cow cheeses. I've got the goat milk cheeses instead. But I also found that, you know, taking the magnesium, like if I'm going to have the milk, I got to have the magnesium. Yeah. Because as you talked about, there's a really important balance between those two minerals. And so tell us a little bit about that balance.
Yeah. Should I sing my song?
Yeah, let's hear your songs.
All right, you ready? I'm not a singer, but it has to do with how we've been over-calcified. So, you ready? Because we are living in a calcified world, and I am a magnesium girl. You know that we are living in a calcified world, and I am a magnesium girl. All right, that's all I got.
I love it. I sing that song too, but with bacteria. I love it. That's great.
Right. So,
well, but even think about the word calcified. Right. Calcified, it means like hardened and like can't move. So this is making a lot of sense. Of course, that's why we need it for our bones, but what happens when we're over calcified?
Well, yeah, so if you think about just the cell wall and the cell permeability, which nobody does, we don't even know what's going on inside our body. But if we don't have healthy cells that work, we aren't healthy. So we have to kind of get into the cellular talk for a second and just understand like that really runs the show. And so we have this calcium ion channel, and in order for the cell to allow only what is necessary, there has to be tons of magnesium to match whatever calcium is there. Otherwise, the cell can start to become hardened, less permeable. So if you have hard cells, what do you think that means? Like if your cell permeability...
They can't function properly, right? Because they're not able to pass the toxins, they're not able to absorb nutrients, they're not able to do their jobs. Right. And then they're like building up, right? Is there like a buildup of calcified material?
Yeah. So then what happens? Everything in the body slows down. So right. you got women who are like, I have fatigue. I think something's wrong with my thyroid. Oh, something's wrong with my adrenals. My hormones are tanked. Oh, I have no energy. I have anxiety. I have insomnia. My periods suck. I have pain and stiffness. The list could go on, and all that.
Gout, right? Isn't that like crystals of, maybe it's not calcium, but right, I'm just thinking of all the things that create the bone spurs, right, which is like an buildup of calcium on your bone that's causing physical pain. So there's just different ways in which, you know, this excess can start to build up. And so the magnesium, what I'm hearing you say, helps to soften the calcium, helps to keep it more in balance, so that way it's able to, we get what we need from the calcium, we're able to absorb the nutrients we need from the calcium, but then it doesn't allow the calcium to be out of balance and therefore cause this calcification process.
Yeah.
So we've talked about magnesium, we've talked a little bit about calcium. So what about potassium, right? Let's dive into that one a little bit, unless there was more to say about magnesium or calcium.
Well, I just wanted to say really quick, like bones aren't made of calcium, because if they were, if you think about chalk, which is made of calcium carbonate only, what happens when you drop it?
Breaks.
Yeah.
Shatters.
So our bones are actually made of like 76 minerals and many other moving parts. So we gotta we gotta decondition. We gotta like really get our learn on so we know how our bodies actually work. Don't listen to these freaking ads and all this stuff, and actually go and learn something about how your body works, so you're not spinning from all the crazy advice out there. But yeah, potassium's another one of my favorites. The reason why I love potassium so much is because it'll give you a very quick win in terms of how you feel, because we need so much of it. We need such a like significant dose daily in milligram amount for our physiological function. And I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of hair tests, and everyone is deficient. So, you know.
Well, we know bananas have potassium. What else are some food pathways, and then what's some good supplementation for that?
I know, bananas. So you have to eat like 8 bananas a day to get all your potassium. And
that's a lot of bananas.
I'm not a monkey, so I prefer diversity. Yeah, so mostly vegetables and fruits are a pretty good source. So if you eat a very diverse diet and you get your fresh local fruits and veggies in season, freshly picked, you know, farmers are doing good with their soil rotation and amendation. You should be able to do a good job getting what you need. But not everyone's at that level of quality and sourcing, right? So sometimes we do need a little more supplementally, but I mean, I love things like coconut water with salt. That's not super practical though, but you're kind of pairing and marrying the potassium and salt because the two do work together. I also have an electrolyte recipe on my website that people can make, and it's kind of like a healthy Gatorade. So you can have a more electrolyte rich drink in addition to the food you're consuming. But why magnesium and potassium have similarities, and they help with like this, like I just said, it's like that calm steady, you know, it's like you're steady, you're steadfast, you have energy, but you're also calm, you're chill. So a lot of times women who have, and men, of course, sorry guys, I just work mostly with women, who have this deficiency are in more of a burned out state where they have lower energy. They get that like wired but tired afternoon swing, and they're like tempted to drink caffeine, but they know that's probably not a good idea. Really what they need is a nice mineral hit. So it helps with energy. It also helps with digestion. It helps with peristalsis. So if you're kind of burned out and you're slow in your energy, you may also be constipated. So both magnesium and potassium will help with that as well if you start consuming more. And then a lot of times people in this similar pattern that I'm describing will have some insomnia. So both of those minerals will really help a lot with that as well. Those are just some of the most common things that come up, you know. If you need more hand holding and support, or if you've done a lot of work on your own already, in terms of like changing your food and changing your environment and all that, I can work with people through the hair analysis. So that's on my website. We'll make sure we get you guys a link. And you can check that out. There's a couple ways I do that. I also work with microbes too. And yeah, I like to say minerals are sexy because they turn you on. Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. So like if you have a low libido, or minerals can help reactivate that life force desire.
Right. Well, I mean, they turn you on completely, so it takes it all the way.
Oh, you mean like electricity too?
Yes. But both. Yeah. For sure.
Right. No, totally get that. That makes so much sense. So yes, turn on, get your body electric. That's right.
Your minerals.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Lydia. Really appreciate you, and love this conversation. So we'll look forward to chatting again soon.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
All right, that was so awesome. Lydia shared so much great information with us today about minerals. They have been making a huge transformation in my life. I hope that this has been informational and helpful for you. And again, we can combine them with our ferments. We can put them together with our kombuchas, with our sauerkrauts. So there's lots of great ways that we can even get these supplements into our food. So that way, you know, whether it's we're hiding the flavors or, you know, we're just adding that extra oomph, we're going to notice how much better we feel, how much happier we are, because when our bodies are in that space of feeling good, then everything around us feels good. And, you know, that's contagious. And that's the kind of thing we want to spread these days is good energy, good vibrations, positivity. And I'm not saying, right, like I'm a Scorpio, so I'm all about the shadow too. So I don't mean that we're bypassing any sort of darkness, but the point is that when we feel good, we can take that energy into the world and help others feel good too. And, you know, with everything that's happening right now, I think we all need to feel a little better. So enjoy your ferments, enjoy your foods, and I can't wait to see you next time on Mama Mondays. Thanks, everybody.